guys ready.
Speaking of Beal, just what has he meant this year as the lone senior in the team?
Yeah, I mean, he's hard playing, tough. I mean, you see the plays he makes. He's the lightest kid on the team, but he sticks his nose in there whenever he can. I mean, I go back to the rebound that he dug out a couple games ago when he basically ripped it away from, where's that, at Mississippi State, if I remember right. He's kind of on the ground. I mean, he just makes a bunch of tough plays. So he brings a toughness to the team and edge. He's a fighter. He's been through a lot with health-wise since he got here. Had the surgery and then had the wrist injury and then had the GI issues. So I think he's playing his best basketball for us right now, which is great to be doing at the end of your senior year. Hopefully, we can get on a run here and he can get some wins going out of his senior year, but takes charges, kind of that old blue-collar mentality we're about. He kind of embodies the whole thing.
You mentioned, I think last week that, he still has to take IVs sometimes for a game to just kind of get up and get going. So what's that process been like for him to continually kind of have to deal with that?
Yeah, I think, he just, for whatever it was, that week, 2 weeks where he couldn't keep anything down, he lost weight, lost energy, so they've been trying to, whenever possible, I know he gets some IVs before and after games both, and tries to get him back up. I think he's starting to feel his energy come back a lot more, and if we can keep him out of foul trouble, we've been trying to play him more with our depth issues, especially without Petty now. So, I don't know. Clark knows all that stuff. They keep me in the loop just enough, but I'm not sure exactly where he's at with all that right now.
He's the biggest person that you personally brought in after getting the job. What was your mindset of bringing him in, especially a guy that kind of plays the way you like to play?
Yeah, I thought we needed shooting. I mean, he was one of the best shooters in the country, over his first 3 years at West Virginia. And then I also wanted to get some toughness about us, and thought he brought that in. And, I didn't know we weren't going to have any seniors necessarily right away, but as the roster kind of shook out, it became that way. So I thought it's always good to have seniors around that have been through it a little bit, and he's a fifth-year senior. It's been through 4 years. He's also been coached by, Huggins, who gets after him pretty hard. He's got some, he's been that for our guys, been a little bit of a leader, especially the kids coming out of high school. This really isn't anything. We sit down and tell you about a few stories. He's got a little bit of that in him, which I think, you want some leadership out of your seniors.
You had guys go through that boot camp before the season, Navy SEALs, whatever it was exactly. How much can you draw upon at this point in the year when you need a few more wins and you're banged up and just trying to finish?
I think it's actually a great point you bring up, kind of put you through some adversity early to kind of teach you how to come together and fight adversity. And so we've had it through the whole year. We've got it now without Petty, here playing late and hard banged up. And we just got to figure out how to get wins without those guys. But I think that whole mindset and mentality of fighting through it, I think we showed it in our last game out. It started way back, in the summer when we did that. So it is something to draw upon.
Speaking of
quick turnaround joint situation.
You know what? So he shot today. It was a lot better than he was Saturday. Still, if we had a game today, he couldn't play. He didn't do anything live today. We'll see what it feels like in the morning. Tomorrow. He's made significant progress. I think he's getting a lot better. He's still not doing. He didn't do anything live today in practice.
Are you happy with what you've seen so far? The culture shift that you've wanted to implement?
Yeah, for the most part. Obviously, you can always get better at everything. I tell our guys, even our best wins here this year, our 25-point win on the road at Ole Miss, there's plenty of stuff we can get better at. But overall, I think guys' mindset, their effort, playing hard, playing together, really bought into kind of how we wanted to play. I think it's coming. It's come a long ways from where I felt it was, 10, 11 months ago for sure.
You mentioned, and JV also mentioned, Beetle kind of being a big brother kind of to the team, showing them things how it's done, and showing the proper way to do things. How much has that helped having a player, a mutual kind of guy with him?
Yeah, it's always, coaches are always going to say one thing, the players expect coaches to say a certain, it's their coach. Well, the best teams are player-led teams, so if you can get some senior leaders, like Beetle, or even some of our other junior leaders like Petty and Herb and those guys, to really take some of the younger guys under their wing, it goes a lot further than a coach saying it, because coaches are supposed to say it. You know, plus if a guy's been through a little bit himself, a lot of adversity, I think you go back to everything this team's been through. Well, if you look at what Beadle himself has been through, both, you know, had that missed a year for an ACL back at West Virginia, he's been through a lot. Even before he ever got to college, that kid's been through a lot in life. So for a kid that's been through a lot of adversity to be able to be tough, hang in there, it's great when he can sit down with one of these guys that's going through just a little bit of adversity compared to what he's been through and kind of share with him how to handle it.
Hey, did you know that Jaden was going to be able to give you what he's given so far?
I don't think anybody would have predicted quite the numbers he's put up. I mean, it's pretty ridiculous for a freshman in the SEC, what he's doing. I did know literally within the first week he had a chance to be pretty good. I mean, I think if you go back to when I was talking to media in the summer, I kind of made the point, like, this kid's coming into high major Division I basketball as ready for college basketball as any freshman I've seen, just with the way his body, you know, all the work he had put in, his skill level, his shooting. So, and then he had a desire to get in the gym. So I had a really good feeling he was going to be really good for us. But to the level he's been, no. I think that'd been hard to predict that.
What do you need out of Alex Reese these last couple of games? Just
Yeah, we
turnovers?
really need him to step up on the offense. I thought his defense was, I mean, if you look at our, I don't know how many of you guys have access to like the analytics box scores we get. He had the second highest, or I guess lowest, second best defensive efficiency. So his defense got much better. We've challenged him that way. Like, we got to get better in ball screens. He had 10 rebounds. We got to be better rebounder. So I think his defense, he knows he's got to pick that up for us, and he did. Again, that's got to continue to get better, but we really need him to make some shots as well. I mean, you know, with Petty out, we need everybody that can make shots, making shots for us. So that's Kyra, Beadle, Shaq, Reese. I mean, those would be the main four that have done it throughout the course of the year. So we need all four of those clicking at as good a pace as we can get them to.
How much do you want him driving to the rim? It seems like that's where a lot of the turnovers with them are coming.
I mean, we've kind of had that talk with them. Like if they're closing hard and you have an opening, he showed that he's more than capable of it. It's when there's guys in the gaps, like, just move the ball to the next guard, go set a ball screen, and just try to eliminate those turnovers where he probably shouldn't have driven it. I don't want to tell him not to drive it because I think he's a good, you know, he can shoot it well enough. Guys are flying at him. He's great with the shot fake. If he can get right by him on a straight line to the rim, it's when the guy's in front of him and he's got to go a little east-west, he gets in trouble. So those are the ones we'd rather just have him run a toss action or whatever you want to call it with the guard and just get into another ball screen.
You've talked
Another question or two.
You've talked about the light at the end of the tunnel, you know, for this team, kind of putting goals up for them. But there's still plenty more opportunity, a lot still left to play for. Nothing's decided yet, SEC seeding and even future stuff. So how much are you kind of using that as motivation, or is it you know, one game at a time, let's just get through?
I mean, we're basically gone to where we're just talking about Vanderbilt one at a time, but you do have to give them some light at the end of the tunnel. So before our last 3-game stretch, you know, after we dropped the Mississippi State game, I told them, I had one of our assistants look up. So there was 2 teams that went 10-8 in the SEC last year. They were a 5 seed and an 8 seed in the NCAA tournament. So I told our guys, if we can get to 10-8 and then do what we need to do in Nashville, like, I think we should be in the NCAA tournament. Like, that's, after everything we've gone through, they're supposed to take into account injuries and all that stuff. My feeling is if we get to 10-8, we ought to be in. The 2 10-8 teams from last year got in, and, you know, actually had decent seeds too, at a 5 and an 8 seed. So, you know, I think we can get in. We kind of gave them that caveat, but since then, you know, going into the last game and then going into this game against Vanderbilt, we are just 100% focused on what we need to do to beat Vanderbilt, and then we'll flip our attention to Missouri after the Vanderbilt one's over.
Coming off an emotional win, or, you know, kind of emotional win, and playing a team that has only had one SEC win, are you kind of concerned that maybe they will look past Vanderbilt?
Yeah, I gave them you know, I try to read the Bible every morning. I gave them a Bible verse. I told them they might be able to quote it with me. Pride cometh before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall. I think it was applicable 3,000 years ago. It's still applicable today. So let's make sure we're not overlooking anybody. We don't have a spirit about us that we don't have to bring an effort like we do. And I explained to them too, there's still analytics involved. We need our defensive efficiency and our offensive efficiency to get as high as it can possibly get. Like, we need to play. I told them we're coming into play, and we showed them clips this morning. They were up at least 12 on Kentucky the last time they played them, because we had clips in the video that they hit a shot to go from, or maybe it was 11 or 12, maybe it was 11, up 8 at the time, hit a 3 to go to 11. They were also up 7 on Kentucky at the half the first time they played them. So Kentucky's the best team our league's got to offer. This team was up on them double digits, like up on them both games. Like, they beat LSU, who's one of the best teams in this league. I told our guys LSU smashed us at their place. So, like, if we're going to take this team for granted, we've shown no maturity throughout the course of the year. Like, if we're going to be immature and come in with an effort like we gave against A&M, like, I'm going to be really disappointed, because that's leadership, that's maturity. Like, we got to grow up. So I expect our guys to come in with an effort like we gave last game, which is a lot different than what we gave against A&M. So that's what I expect. I'm hoping they're mature enough to bring it that way, but we talked to them about it.
All right, thank you.